Hello and welcome back to You Can Play Europa Universalis IV, the series where we cover one basic concept of the game to help new players get in and get started. This time, last time we covered something pretty in-depth and deep, and we will definitely continue coming back to trade. I want to talk about trade nodes. I want to talk about flow between trade nodes and trade steering. But I also don't want to run people off with deep dives into trade, since we still have some other sort of basic concepts to get through. I went ahead and covered trade goods because I wanted to finish off sort of the province view. I think that does that nicely. This time, I want to begin to dive into diplomacy. This is going to be a much more simple concept. So, and it's one of the core things that you do in this game, particularly right in the earlier game. Now, the important thing to notice is that you have diplomats. Usually you have two. You can also see them up two diplomats, up here. Different modifiers in the game may give you more or less. For example, if you become papal controller, you get one more. I think some ideas definitely give you more than one diplomat. I think there are some countries that start with 3. I might be misremembering that, but diplomacy is a huge part of this game. If you bring up the diplomacy menu, let's say I wanted to start having a conversation here with Bohemia. You see, if I expand all these things, there's a lot going on there. And that's okay. Don't sweat it, because for the most part, there's only about 4 or 5, maybe 6 of these buttons you really are going to care about most of the time. So let's focus on those. Most importantly is actually this one. Which is improve relations. You can get a look down here in your diplomatic map modes and click opinion. You can see how people feel about you generally. You can also kind of go see over here. Generally speaking, orange is bad, green is good, yellow is pretty standard. Most things should fall into yellow. But if you want to change that, if you want to say, let's say I want a Bohemia to like me more. Well, let's find somebody who's close to liking me. Venice is not likely. Switzerland already likes me. Come on. Somebody here has to only be kind of okay with me. Okay, yeah, Poland's a good example. Let's say I really wanted to improve our relationship with Poland. This is how you see that on here. So this is back in the country view screen under the diplomacy tab. When you had another country selected, you can see how they feel about you and how you feel about them. This number is somewhere between -200, which is very, 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 very bad. They hate you. And +200, which is very, very, very good. They love you, and they probably won't go to war with you. There's like a 95% chance that they definitely probably won't go to war with you if they are +200. So +25 is okay. 0 is relatively like neutral. Having a +25 is a pretty standard thing if you're a fairly decent country. Most countries just kind of, unless you've given them a reason to think otherwise, they're like, yeah, you're pretty cool. But let's say I wanted to up that. Let's say I wanted to do some things to try and make Poland be my ally. So I might start by improving relations with them. This adds up to a +100 to this number right here. And it goes up steadily week by week. You can hover over things. You can hover over your diplomat here. We can see we've sent to Poland. He's at +30 right now, and our relation will be improved depending on some factors about how good our diplomatic reputation is, whether we have any bonuses to diplomatic relation improvement, and some of our traditions and prestige. So we can actually see here, where do we want to see that? Oh, yeah. Advisors can help this. Let's say we had the money for it. Let's say, okay, this is a good idea. Let's say we wanted to improve relations by 20%. We could hire this advisor. I don't know if this will show up right away here. We'll move forward. Yeah, you can see that now it shows that Erlich von Eising is adding another 20% to our ability to improve relations. Now, that doesn't guarantee that Poland's going to like us. They probably will, but it will mean that we'll get to that +100 much, much quicker. One thing that does influence your, I always forget where to find this. Yeah, one thing that strongly influences your, I right clicked on my own country here to bring up this screen. I also could have done it by going here and then clicking the middle button, right? Yeah. Is your diplomatic reputation. So this is a modifier that basically says how likely are people to be persuaded by you? How likely are they to become your ally? How likely are they to do a royal marriage with you? And this is another thing that you can bump up using several modifiers. You can use ideas and technology, ideas from technology. You can get, events that happen. You can buy it using an advisor. But as you increase your diplomatic reputation, not surprisingly, it just means that other countries are more likely to accept offers than they would have been otherwise. You can see here that, they're already +5 because we have started improving relations. Let's say we got an ally here, and I have a reason I'm doing this. So we picked up Bohemia as an ally because the other big thing that both your relationship and diplomatic reputation can influence is how likely somebody is to go to war with you. December 11th is as soon as any wars can be declared. Now, Bohemia is not going to be willing to join this war, as you can see here. And we'll get into what all this means later, when we talk about wars and military stuff. But what I wanted to show you was here. They're not going to accept it because they don't owe us any favors, and they don't dislike Venice, and we haven't given them a good reason to go to war. But they do have a +5 modifier because of our diplomatic reputation. This is the other thing I wanted to say about diplomatic reputation, which is the higher your diplomatic reputation, the more likely you are to be able to convince your allies to do something, things that you want. So ultimately, that improved relations is very good. You can see, in fact, that just improving it by 5 switched Poland from not accepting an alliance to now accepting an alliance. And you can see they feel neutral. You can see that right here. So Bohemia is in alliance with us. They feel we're an ally. Savoy loves us. They think so we have a friendly. But if we look at some of our rivals, such as Denmark, you'll see they feel strongly. So here's a good quick look at generally how a country feels about you, and then obviously your modifiers here, your actual number, really influences that. The other thing that you can do to influence a country, or just to kind of solidify your reputation with them, is a royal marriage. And so we can do this here. We're saying we're all about Bohemia. We love Bohemia. And you can see that without even improving relations with them, just having an alliance and a royal marriage makes them really like us. You can eventually break those ties if you need. I'm not going to talk about why I did that. But that comes at the cost of stability unless some other things are happening. Offer vassalization is a thing that you might play more in the later game, particularly if you're a large country and you have a very, very small country. There won't be any in this situation because I'm the Holy Roman Emperor, which is its own thing. But let's say you were playing as, I don't know, maybe the Ottomans. You would probably be able to potentially offer vassalization to some of these smaller Georgian countries over here. Yeah, so that's definitely a thing that you can do, and it will be more relevant later in the game. Other things I want to say about diplomacy is, let's see, offer alliance, royal marriage. These are the buttons you care about. Declare war, offer alliance, royal marriage, improve relations. Those are going to be the most common ones. The last one I do want to mention is this build spy network, and this leads us into potential wars. So let's say I did want to begin to plan my eventual war against Venice. You'll notice here, if I try to do it now, it says I will get a -2 stability. We should talk about stability because that's also very important, because I have no casus belli, which is essentially I have no reason to go to war with them. The most common casus belli you can get, the most common reason you can build to eventually go to war with somebody, is this spy network. So a spy network, you can see here, begins to grow over time. Can I even rival them to make it go faster? I can rival them, and that will make that grow even faster. The reason you want to be able to do this, I'm going to skip through any events. We don't care about that. We're trying to get this up to 20. So what you're trying to do is you're essentially working to build a spy network in Venice that is going to make some sort of claim on the country's land and say, well, actually, Istria down here, as you can see, because it's separated by gores, it's not part of the overall Venetian country. Istria is clearly supposed to be a Austrian land. So once you have 20, and this goes up by 5, depending on how many claims you already have on the land. So if I claim Istria and then I want to come back and claim Treviso too, I will have to build up another 25 spy points to be able to do that. But you can see this fabricate claims button is now available. I can click Istria, and it's saying we're going to spend our 20 points to make a claim on Istria, that Istria belongs to the Grand Nation of Austria and is our rightful land. And that now gives us a casus belli to potentially go to war. So if we go in now, let him come home and threaten to declare war, you can see we no longer take a stability hit. And we have this casus belli up here that says take Istria, and that will be the war goal. So we could absolutely start and probably win a war with Venice right now, which we will do another time. There are lots of other things you can do with diplomacy, particularly as, for example, one of the reasons I want to show this through Austria. Austria is the Holy Roman Emperor. So sometimes if you're Holy Roman Emperor, you're papal controller, or you're playing as Ming and you have the Mandate of Heaven DLC, there are also, if you're a great power, there are additional options that may show up that wouldn't otherwise be there in diplomacy. So this area right here, Emperor Actions, would disappear if I was France or Hungary or anybody else, or if I wasn't Holy Roman Emperor. And this gives you additional things that you can do once you become a great power as well. And unfortunately, we are not a great power here. Great power options open. That's all cool, and you should play around with diplomatic options and ways to build friendships and alliances with other countries. Issue embargo is something you absolutely want to do to your rivals, for example. We'll go into why all of that is as we move along. And a lot of this is stuff you will learn over time. But if you go in with nothing but the knowledge of how to make an alliance, how to improve relations, how to get a royal marriage, how to declare war, and how to build claims, like 5 things, you've got enough. And you can kind of, I don't want to say ignore, because that suggests these aren't important, but you can learn these other diplomatic options as you're going through the game. This gets you started. I would say, particularly in the early game, always make sure your diplomats are doing something. There's at least one DLC that adds a diplomacy tab into your production interface, which can help guide you. It can show you how many countries want to have an alliance with you. It can show you, who you can do different things with, who wants a royal marriage. It can even automate your diplomats for you. So let's get him home, and I say, I want this diplomat to always be doing something, but I don't want to micromanage him. So I'm going to have him make sure he's always making friends with neighboring countries, and he will start doing that automatically. That's a great quality of life feature. If you don't have that DLC, do not worry about it. It's not absolutely critical. Have your diplomats doing something. Don't have what is commonly referred to as lazy diplomats. Because they are powerful and they do set the standard. And even if you don't feel like you need to make friends around you right now, like your relations are fine, it's okay, no big deal, I don't care about it, it's still good to do that with countries that you aren't planning to go to war with, because as you attack somebody like Venice and you take a bunch of land, that can be seen negatively by nearby countries who will become more threatened. It's called aggressive expansion. And they may feel threatened by your country taking land somewhere else. So having an existing high relations with them, even if you're not planning to ally them, even if you're not planning to do anything with them, can prevent what we'll talk about in another section called a coalition. You do not want a coalition, particularly early in the game, building up against you, because those can get powerful and take you down a peg very quickly. Anyway, that was a super quick look at diplomats. No lazy diplomats, really just about 5 basic buttons. Always have them doing something. And the more you make nice with nearby neighbors, the more you can be mean to one particular neighbor and they won't care. Until next time, my name is Sean Sands. Thank you for joining us. I hope this helps, and you can go play EU4 now. Now you know diplomats. God, you know so much. I can't believe how much you know about this game. Go play. It's awesome. We'll see you soon.